But unlike the restrictions in spring, schools, colleges, and universities can stay open. And joining us to have a quick conversation about this is Peter Okoche, an anchor, BBC World News. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Okoche.
Thanks for having me, man. Morning.
I'm going to start with asking what might be contributing to the spike in coronavirus figures. A lot of people earlier in the year must have felt, 2020 was going to end, and, COVID would also go with it. But that doesn't seem very likely.
Well, that doesn't seem to be the case, not only in across the UK, but in parts of Europe. We see shutdowns happening in Italy, in Spain. There's a partial lockdown in parts of Germany, and a lot of people are attributing this to the fact that the cold weather is coming back, autumn and then winter when it's coldest in this part of the world, and that's what they're attributing it to. I mean, if you put COVID-19 to the side, normally this is the season that is also that you have the highest number of flu cases in this part of the world. And as we know, COVID-19 is also a kind of a flu. So that's what people are attributing it to. And I think what the problem is, or what the issue is, and the government itself has admitted that much. So it's not me criticizing them. I mean, I think they tried so many ways to try and keep COVID-19 in check. They tried regional lockdowns. They tried locking down towns where it was escalating. So places like Bradford, places like Leicester here in England. But this hasn't seemed to work. So I think they're now thinking maybe just lock down the whole country, what they're calling a circuit breaker. So lock down the whole country for 4 weeks, so there's no contact. And we know that, of course, contact is the way that people contract COVID-19. So if there's no contact between people from different bubbles, then you can limit the spread of the pandemic, or the spread of the virus, I beg your pardon, and then slow down the pandemic at the same time. So I think that's what they're doing. But let's not forget, this is just for England. Wales and Scotland have been in their own different, varying degrees of lockdown for the past couple of weeks now. In fact, I think Wales is coming out of their lockdown very soon. So, we'll just have to wait and see if this works. It's 4 weeks, so until the very first week of December before we can find out.
Boris Johnson must be under a lot of pressure. I want your thoughts also on what the likely effects of a second lockdown would be on the whole of England, with the economy, with the people themselves already getting tired maybe of the last few months.
Well, the thing is, it severely impacts the economy, because don't forget that if you close shops, then people cannot go to work. People cannot go to offices. People cannot go and earn money. Market stalls will be closed. And of course, that means a loss of income. The government, during the first lockdown in spring, which lasted just over 3 months, what they did was they came up with a lot of packages, financial packages, to help people out. There's furloughing, so the government was paying people's salaries to a certain degree. That is going to continue during this lockdown. But then, not everybody was entitled to this financial help. So some people completely missed out. So it just meant that some people, for instance, didn't have a single earning for 3 months. And don't forget that, you've got to pay very high rent prices. You've got to pay for electricity. You've got to pay all your bills generally. So yes, the impact is very high. I mean, I was talking to a fellow Nigerian here just last night, and she works in a retail sector. She's going to have to go home. Now, she's lucky in the sense that she's going to get the furlough she's going to benefit from the furlough scheme, but that is a reduced amount. It's not her full salary, it's a partial salary. So, this is a woman with, with children, with grandchildren in her house that she has to take care of. So, it's a problem for a lot of people. But I think the government is trying to use it. If we go back to the figures, we've been seeing daily figures of 22,000 infections. Yesterday was 18,950. So just 50 cases short of 19,000 for yesterday. 147 people were admitted into hospital. 1,047 people were admitted into hospitals yesterday. The NHS, the hospitals are really stretched. So I think the government doesn't seem to have any option.
Word also is that the English Premiership will not be affected. Is this for economic gains or for the fun of it? And how can that be managed?
Well, I don't think it's for economic gains because the English Premiership at the moment seems to be they say they're making a huge loss. Of course, fans are not allowed into the stadiums to watch these matches. I mean, we've all seen the matches being played in empty stadiums. But I think it's because it's now recognized that sport is a mechanism which can allow people to cope during lockdowns. You know, it gives people something to look forward to, people something to talk about. It's not only the Premiership, schools will be open. My kids have just popped out for school, you know, albeit varying degrees. One of them has to spend the whole day in school. The other one spends, just goes to school for the lessons that he has and then has to come back home. You know, so I mean, journalists, NHS workers, of course, some key groups will be allowed to go back into the office. But yes, sports, as you say, is seen as something that can take the edge of a lockdown, and the Premier League will indeed go ahead.
All right. Lastly, just before we go, I want your thoughts on how much of a relief it would be if a vaccine shows up at a time like this. The WHO still hasn't accepted the one from Russia. I know the UK is still working on theirs. America is working on theirs also. But how much of a relief will that be right now?
I think that's what a vast majority of people are looking forward to, because, you know, like you've mentioned here in Europe, in America, in South America, in Africa, in Asia, everyone is looking for the vaccine. You know, that seems now to be what everyone found, that within a few months, people can recontract COVID-19. And stay safe as well, man. Stay safe. COVID-19 exists in Nigeria, believe it.
And now in sports, Diego Maradona has been admitted to hospital in Argentina with undisclosed health problems, although it is not related to COVID-19 and his condition is not thought to be serious, according to his personal doctor. Maradona was taken to the Ipensa clinic in La Plata after about an hour from Buenos Aires. Maradona coaches the local club Gimnasia Esgrima. Maradona, who won the World Cup with Argentina in 1986 and is widely considered to be one of the greatest players of all time, was admitted to hospital to undergo tests, his doctor Leopoldo Luque said. He had been feeling poorly for some time and will be under observation for at least 3 days, Luque told reporters. Luque did not give specific details of Maradona's ailment, but said it was not related to COVID-19. And that's our news roundup of events at this hour. For more news updates, please follow us at Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa. We'll be back later with more stories making the headlines. Do join us. I am Osaogie Ogbonwa.
The power of the people is stronger than the people in power.
True power is in the in voting.
I'm afraid that these recent events have exposed the current government as out of touch with the people, and their moral right to rule has been eroded.
If Nigeria looks to be dying and we're the ones burying it, what we need to do quickly is to admit that our young people are the ones who will take Nigeria to the future.
If you engage the youth meaningfully, create opportunities for them to be employed, self-employed, and employ other people, you won't have to share 10,000, 50,000 naira to anybody.
As leaders, they have displayed a total lack of empathy and accountability in governance.
We operate a big local government where the president is the local government chairman.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am
Toki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's Tea Time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.